Hi everyone, it's Pete here from the Purple House at Forth with our weekly Facebook Live. Today I just want to share about a dozen things with you that we've actually taken on board and made them things that we normally do in our household that probably aren't so good for you. So I'm just pointing these out so you can swap them out with something else or that will be a lot healthier for you. Now I've got these 12 things listed, so I'll be looking down at my notes a little bit to get them in the right order. And the first one is say goodbye to your microwave. Microwaves are radiation and they alter the molecular structure of the food you eat, and even water. Water that's microwaved, if you let that cool down and give it to your plants, your plants will die. They don't like microwave water either. And get out of the habit of heating your infant's bottle of milk up in the microwave. Heat it up in a bit of hot water instead and you'll be a lot better off. I was once told that microwaves, use them as post boxes out by the road so your mailman can put your letters in. They'll keep your post nice and dry. That's the better way to use a microwave. The next thing is avoid seed oils. All the vegetable seed oils, the seed growers lost their markets to the paint factories. Back in the 60s, I think it was, the paint factories started using petrochemical oils for their paints and they had no market. So they marketed them as a health food and the whole world was convinced at that point in time that these New Butte vegetable oils were far better for us than all the saturated fats that our forebears had eaten all their lives. I grew up on a dairy farm and my parents actually changed to margarines, which, they've probably killed more people than the world wars put together. All the runny oils and they're the major cause of chronic disease in the world. They just create inflammation in our body. So avoid all the runny oils except the ones I recommend to people. The best one is macadamia nut oil and then the next one is olive oil. But just be careful where you get your olive oil from because apparently there are not enough olives grown in the world to produce all the oil that's produced. And quite a few of the olive oil producers tend to mix a little bit of, or quite a bit of canola oil in with their olive oil. So you are getting a lot of the worst runny oil. Canola oil is the worst. And it's full of linoleic acid, which is omega-6. Apparently, 50 years ago, the average person created about 1% of the calories from omega-6. So it's one of the essential fatty acids. So we need to consume a little bit of it. But nowadays, the average person is making 25% of their calories from omega-6. And it's creating chronic disease. And it hangs around the body for about 2 years. It causes inflammation on cell membranes, inside your arteries and everywhere around your body. So one of the major causes of, the major cause of chronic disease is omega-6, too much omega-6. Steer clear of seed-based oils. And they're in every processed food. So get used to looking at the label on the food. And if it's got vegetable oil written on there, you'd be better off putting it back on the shelf. If you're fed income about good health, you're not consuming those oils. Use your good animal oils Butter, cream, coconut oil is the plant-based oil, which is saturated fat, and then your meat fats, and then again the runny oils, macadamia nut oil being the best, and then a little bit of olive oil, but be cautious about that as well. The next one, skip perfumes, fragrant candles, wet wipes, room fresheners. The word fragrance, look, if any product that you buy has got the word fragrance on it, it can contain 100 different chemicals. Now, our bodies are subject to as many toxins in one day now as my grandparents were their whole lifetime. And the word fragrance can contain lots of those chemicals, which our body, our liver has to get rid of, and our liver is often overworked nowadays with all the toxins, and they float around in our body and create havoc. And so just keep an eye out for that word fragrance. If anything you buy has got it on, then you'd be better off going without it. The wet wipes and other room fresheners and whatever, the smelly room fresheners that you smell in different places, they are hormone disruptors. They'll wreak havoc with your hormones. So if people are having trouble with hormones in pre and perimenopausal or postmenopausal women, get rid of all those air fresheners, all the hormone disruptors in smelly things. And believe it or not, they're disrupting the hormones in men as well. And so avoiding those at all costs is better. Choose natural alternatives. Essential oils. Get a good diffuser and put your water with some essential oil drops and diffuse it into the air, and that the vibration of those oils will be promoting health for you rather than ill health that those fragrances cause. If you use wet wipes for your baby or even for yourself, carry a washer with some clean water. Have some bottle of fresh water in the washer and use plain water. Plain water washes better than anything else. And the next one is say no to farm fish. It's full of antibiotics, food colouring, which is probably not natural, and they're fed rubbishy diet. They're ruining our waterways, all those fish farms. But we were given some salmon one time that had jumped out of the nets down in Strawn in Western Tasmania. My cousin had caught some, and they were totally farmed salmon. They jumped out over the net, and people can catch them down there. And we'd had a couple of feeds. This is years ago, and there was one piece left over, and there wasn't enough left for the whole family. So I just said, we'll give it to the animals and birds outside. Give them something to eat. There wasn't enough for us. So I threw it out. And then a week later, I had to bury it. It was still lying where I'd thrown it. Nothing touched it. No wild bird, domestic or wild animal, touched it. And I said to Grada, that's good enough for me. If nothing outside there touches that, it's not coming into this house ever again. They've got instincts to know what's good and bad for them. We lose that instinct about age 7 or 8. So I also tell young parents who come to me, please don't force your young child, before the age of 7 or 8, don't force them to have anything they don't want to eat, because they still have got the instinct to know what's good and bad for them. So that salmon, keep it out of your house, because if animals and birds don't like it, then it's probably not good for us either. Watch out for plastic packaged foods is number 5. Plastic, we're getting full of microplastics. They're in everything. And the plastic will leach into the food that it's wrapped up in. Buy fresh stuff in paper bags, preferably. I know it's hard to go in the supermarket. It's all plastic. Even they say there's microplastic in glass nowadays, because the glass is made from sand, and our sea is full of it. So even fish these days is full of microplastics. The salt that's mined from the sea is full of microplastics. That's pretty well the only reason we recommend Himalayan salt, is because it hopefully hasn't got the pollutants that today's sea has got in. That's pretty well the only reason. And they are estrogen mimicking substances, plastic. So it's probably causing the pandemic of erectile dysfunction in men. Not talked about, but I would say it is on pandemic scale because of the estrogen mimicking effect of those plastics. Now, there are other foods also to avoid because of the estrogen mimicking things, like soy. Only have fermented soy. No, if it's not fermented, don't touch it, because it suppresses the thyroid, plus it's estrogen mimicking. And men and women these days get far too much estrogen, and it's causing problems in hormonal health. The 6th one, be selective with your vitamins and minerals, your supplements, because they're not all made equally. The ones we have, have come to know the producers of them, and Grada and I went to Chicago and studied the biomedics system, the live and dried blood. You can see a blood picture under the microscope there at the moment on the screen. We studied that over in Chicago, and we got to know the people that had the supplements produced, and they knew the producers, and they do rigorous tests on these products that they get in. And sometimes we can't get the supplements because they're still doing tests to make sure they are the best that they can provide. The Nutrispec supplements, the probiotics, the Guy Schenker, the founder of that company, he went round the world looking for a capsule that withstands stomach acid, and so they'll get through to the small intestine much easier, and they deposit the good gut bacteria in the small intestine rather than opening up in the stomach, where they'll all be killed by the acid in the stomach. So yeah, there are supplements and supplements. The same as magnesium. We had a woman who listened to us on Facebook Live talking about magnesium. She'd been taking magnesium for months and months for muscle spasms she had up one side of her body, and it had gone into her face, and the doctor had told her, take magnesium. And she continued taking it with no effect. It just got worse and worse. And she listened to us on Facebook Live one time talking about Sandra Cabot's, or Cabot Health Magnesium Complete, having 2 of the smallest possible particles in it, so they're absorbed into cells much better. And she went out and bought some for herself, and 5 days later the spasming that she'd had for months all down one side of her body had disappeared. So yeah, there is difference in lots of different supplements you can buy. We pride ourselves in stocking good ones, some of the best. Number 7. Where are we? Sorry, getting a bit mixed up. Cut out artificial sweeteners. I had a chap one time who came to me. He was drove a truck, delivered goods from the northwest coast down to Queenstown each day and back again. And when he was in Queenstown, he'd buy himself a Diet Coke and just sit on the dashboard of his car, of his truck, and drink it on the way back. And he said every day when he got back to Burnie, he just felt shocking. His brain was all buzzing, and he couldn't think straight, and he didn't feel good at all. And I asked him what his routine was like and what he ate and drank, and he told me about this Diet Coke he'd buy himself and put on the dashboard of his truck and drink it on the way back home, and that was the culprit. Apparently it produced what was it? The Gulf War syndrome in American soldiers. The Americans supplied Diet Coke for their soldiers when they went to the Gulf War in Kuwait, and they blamed the Iraqis for using chemical warfare, but they were supplying chemical warfare on their own soldiers by giving them Diet Coke to drink as their fluid rations. And when it's heated up, the toxins become much worse and it will rot the brain. So steer clear of artificial sweeteners. There are some natural non-sugar based sweeteners: monk fruit, stevia, xylitol, erythritol, some of the better ones. Make sure stevia and doesn't have any fillers in though. Make sure it's just pure, because quite often they put fillers in which aren't all that good either. But they'll probably create, the artificial ones don't cause you to lose weight. You'll get fatter on artificial ones and you'll rot your brain. So steer clear of artificial sweeteners. Sometimes when we feel like a sugar hit, we're often thirsty. So have a drink of water with a pinch of salt in, and you'll often find that your hunger or your urge for a sugar hit will disappear. Number 8, avoid low-fat products. Often low-fat products have got added sugar to them to cover up that they've taken out the fat. Because when we're a little human being just born, if we're lucky enough to be fully breastfed, we're making 75% of our energy out of fats. And that fat is animal fat. So that tells me that we are designed to be consuming lots of good fats. For some reason, when we start our babies, our infants on solids, we tend to make them sugar burners instead of fat burners. We start them off on stewed fruit, mashed veggies, cereal, and they all turn to sugar in the body. All carbohydrates turn to sugar, so we make our children sugar burners instead of fat burners. And fats will give us lots of good energy. It gives us a nice even energy all day long, rather than just one that goes up and down all the time. But so if you buy dairy products, make sure they're full cream yogurt, And if you eat meat, make sure you get the cuts with the most fat on. Don't buy lean, because it's the fat that you want to be consuming and digesting to make good energy from. Energy that'll keep your energy levels nice and even all day long. And our brain takes 25% of those energies, so it needs a really good energy source. So avoid the low-fat products. Number 9 is avoid aluminium at all costs. Aluminium will cause your red cells to start sticking together. So avoiding those will help disperse the red cells so they can carry the oxygen to the tissues better. And one key to longevity is keeping those red cells nicely dispersed. So avoiding aluminium, which is in aluminium cans. If you have a drink from an aluminium can, there's been aluminium leach into the drink that you've had. Deodorants are often have aluminium in, so make sure they've got those 2 words written on them: aluminium free. What else? Over-the-counter antacids like Mylanta, Gaviscon, Quickies, quite often they have aluminium in, so make sure you avoid aluminium at all costs. Plus, we know it creates Alzheimer's, so avoiding aluminium is better for us. Number 10, skip fermented foods that have been imported into Australia. And I would say imported into Tasmania, because they're still classified as fresh food, and fresh vegetables aren't allowed really into Tasmania. They don't allow fresh things into Tasmania to avoid disease being brought in. So, but any from overseas, like if you buy sauerkraut from Europe, it will be irradiated before it arrives in Australia. And that irradiation kills everything in it, so it won't have any good intestinal bacteria left in it. So buy locally made. So if you live on the mainland, find a product that's locally made. I know Love Your Guts here in Tasmania is an excellent brand. We also stock that for our clients, and they actually supply places all over Australia and into Singapore now. So it doesn't need to be irradiated when it leaves Tasmania. So if you're on the mainland and you found Love Your Guts, I can guarantee that is a good form of fermented food. Number 11, be cautious with personal care products, because they do have a lot of toxins in. Look for natural wherever possible. Our skin is the biggest organ of the body. Think of it as a big mouth. Everything we put on our skin goes in, so it slurps things up. If we put stuff on our body like sunscreen, all personal care stuff that has toxins in, they'll be absorbed into our body. Use just water and non-toxic natural soaps to wash with. Now, if you want to read about the dirtiest man that ever lived, it's in a book called Can You Catch a Cold by Daniel Reuters. This old man, he lived to about 85. I think it was over in India. He lived on the side of a busy road, just in a couple of sheets of tin as a shelter. He'd drink water from the puddles on the side of the road, and he would pick up dead raccoons that had been hit by passing traffic and have as his food. and he never bathed, never showered, and they took blood tests from him, and all his biochemistry and everything came back perfect. He was very healthy, but he was classified the dirtiest man alive at the time. He lived to about 85, and have a guess what maybe killed him. The villagers forced him to have a shower, and he died 3 weeks later. But he was perfectly well up until that time. All the antimicrobial hand washes, the plungers that you get to rub on your hands, they'll go in and kill your good intestinal bacteria. They'll be absorbed in. So our old ancestors, if you think about it, when they killed their meat, they would have been dirty, they would have had dirty hands, and those microbes that they swallowed were good for them. We're an ecosystem, and we need lots of good bacteria. Now, there was an experiment done down in Antarctica. They took quite a number of women who were pregnant down there to give birth surgically by cesarean in a sterile environment. So no germs live where it freezes down in Antarctica. And they took these women down there, and they delivered the babies by cesarean section, and I think the story said that every one of the babies died because they didn't get the bacteria they needed to stay alive. 80% of our immune system belongs to the intestinal bacteria that we swallow all the time and have with fermented foods. It's essential that we replenish those on a daily basis if we want good health. Plus, they produce 90% of the serotonin. Our happy hormones are produced in a nice, healthy gut. So if you want a happy, healthy life, replenish those good bacteria on a daily basis. I personally have a probiotic and fermented foods every day because, it's the best thing I can do for myself. Number 12 is also keep an eye on what you put on your skin. Again, makeups, our livers have to get rid of everything that is soaked in through our skin, so it puts a real burden on our livers. But in makeup, lots of makeup have lots of heavy metals, including mercury, cadmium, lead, and we know heavy metals are not too good for us. Now, we tend to get lots of those probably in other things as well, but especially if we eat fish, we don't eat a lot of fish because in the sea there is a lot of waste, a lot of mercury, a lot of heavy metals. Everything gets dumped out to sea, and our fish are full of all those toxins. I tell people, if you want fish oil, eat small oily fish. The smaller ones will have less toxins in. The big ones will have eaten all the little ones, so they'll have a lot of toxins in. So if you eat fish, eat small oily ones, and you'll get the benefit of the fish oil, because oil from fish is got out of fish by a heat process, so it's an oxidised oil as soon as it's out of the fish. So that's why I tell people to eat small oily fish if they want fish oil. Arctic and Antarctic krill oil, they are some of the best omega-3 sea or food oils that you can, it's nearly like a fish oil that you can, but make sure it's pure Arctic or Antarctic krill, not mixed with fish oil. because fish oil is an oxidized oil. Not all that good for us. But yeah, just be aware, you ladies or anyone who puts makeup on, that make it more natural stuff. But I would dare to say you're beautiful anyway. God made you the way you are, and no one can make you any more beautiful than that. So prevent absorbing those toxic heavy metals and toxins in through the skin, which create havoc inside us, and then our liver has to get rid of them. So it makes our liver work overtime and toxic as well. And when we have a toxic liver, we often become angry, and the emotions of the liver get stirred up. So keeping that nice and healthy is a good thing for us as well. Okay, I hope you enjoyed and this, and can take some things away, get rid of some of the things out of life to make your life a lot healthier. And hopefully Grata will be back on deck next week, and you'll see both of us together. Come and see me for check up on your live and dried blood, and I also do urine and saliva tests in the full health audit, which looks at your metabolic health, or the how your cells are making energy, and I can point you in the right direction, things that are specific for you, not just a general one for general health, but specific for you. So come and see me, book in for a full health audit or just a diagnostic session, and we can cover quite a bit in that as well. And if you've got things happening that are a bit of a pest for you and you can't get to the bottom of them, I've had lots of people improve their health in a few weeks. Things that they've had for years have improved in weeks. So come and see me, and in the meantime enjoy the nice spring weather that we're starting to have after the cold snap. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.